Hello, everybody. You're welcome to Coffee and Beans with Adesola Balogun. It is yet another exciting episode, and I am extremely honored to have this particular guest on this episode. I've known her for close to a decade. Super inspired by her journey, and I'm happy that she's chosen to share her story. I'm sure you already know who I'm talking about. She's an accomplished on-air personality, a radio host, a compere DJ, a music encyclopedia. I can testify. Welcome to the pod, Schullzz, Mogaji.
Hey, how are you? It's good to be here. I can't imagine. I'm on the other side of the mic.
Yes, of the mic.
Let me just be quiet.
Let me start with, how has life outside radio been? I mean, it's been a few months since you left radio. How's that been?
First of all, when you say a few, it's been more than a few.
A year? Has it been a year?
I left at the end of March.
Oh, wow. That's
this is
true.
Coming up to the end of January. So it's been
Wow.
about 10 months. So I've had time to get over my withdrawal symptoms and all the things that happen to you when you break a habit, what seems like a lifelong habit. So it's been, initially I was a bit like, I was just tired. Like it felt like I'd been working all my life, which I have been. But all of a sudden I had nowhere to go. I wasn't getting up and going to work. Nobody was calling me. I had no assignments, I had no show prep. It took some getting used to. Yes. And it was quite emotional, leaving, as you can testify.
I was there on the last day.
Because you were there on the last day of the podcast. And I thought it would take me, I thought I would bounce back quickly, but it took a while, which is not a bad thing. But it's been really interesting. All of a sudden, people are finding out that, Schullzz is available to do a lot of other things.
Yeah.
And when you've had a structure in place for so long, and then you become self-employed, it is a totally different ball game. You have to make time and structure your time in such a way that you're still going to be making some kind of money. So that was a bit... I'm a structure person, but I'm not a structure person. I'm a loosely structured kind of person. So that was a bit tricky for a while. But yeah, I'm over that hump now. I'm following the money now.
Do you miss being on radio?
I do. When people say to me, Schullzz, I miss you. I mean, I was on radio on Wednesday.
Yeah.
People are like, I miss you. And I say, I miss you too. Not them, but the whole radio thing.
The ambience.
Being in the studio with the boys and just knowing that you're out there talking to people and you're changing lives, literally, which I only found out after I left radio, that there's a lot of impact as a radio personality that you give that you don't realize until you start meeting people who tell you, how you've changed their life. So that has been very rewarding for me. Amazing.
I mean, we would look to the future, what you're doing now, but I want us to look back a bit. Radio, your journey on the radio started how many years ago? 14
now.
14 years.
We're now in 2024.
Yes.
It started 14 years ago, just a random visit to a friend's house and having a conversation about music and album covers. You know how I like to show off because I know my music.
Yes,
and
you do.
There was someone there who was just listening to me. I'm like, now for this girl. So he just kind of walked up to me and said, hi, gosh, so much producers, album covers, you'd be perfect for radio. And I'm thinking to myself, radio, cool. I beg who's doing radio? But that conversation was it was easy. I left the conversation alone. And then a couple of weeks later, we exchanged cards. I didn't call him. Eventually, he called me. We talked about it. He said, come to the studio. Let's have a conversation. The rest is history. Yeah. So it was that easy. And when I look back now, I know that God positioned me to be on radio because I wasn't even thinking about radio.
Yeah.
I wasn't even thinking about I don't call myself a DJ. I call myself a music curator, but just playing music for people for pleasure. At no point did it occur to me that put it that way. So that was a different shifting of gears for me.
I mean, I want to piggyback on what you said. You've always loved music.
Always.
Now, prior to the conversation you had with the gentleman who told you about, what were you doing? What were you up to at the time?
Okay, so I had a business, a table set and decor company called Rolatirade.
Okay.
And I had an office on Awolowo Road in Ikoyi. I was quite the high flyer then. And so I did that when I came back from England, and that was what I was doing. And then before that, I was in England for a lot of years, worked for MCI Welcome, T-Mobile, Merrill Lynch, as IT, in the IT
sector.
IT, customer services, a bit of that. And then I took redundancy from Merrill Lynch, and then I set up a catering business. I used to do Nigerian and Afro-Caribbean food. And that business was called Mogaji Catering, which was a combination of my maiden name and my married name. Yeah. So, I'm coming from quite a bit of, and then from Rolatirade is, I kind of took a little bit of time off. I lost a member of my family, so that took me away from work for a bit because I couldn't deal. And then coming back off that is where I found radio. Wow. So I will say that radio saved me. I think I will say that.
So within that period where you were doing, where you worked in IT, you moved into catering, did you feel a certain, what's the word now, restlessness that I should be doing more? And when you found radio, did you feel like, oh yes, I am here, this is where I'm supposed to be, this is what I'm supposed to be doing? I'm asking that because there's somebody out there listening that has an hobby, or is it a hobby, and doesn't think it is worthy enough to be called a business. When was the a moment of epiphany for you when you said, oh, this my love for music is actually the path I'm supposed to take, and it's actually making me money? Where was that mind shift for you?
I think after a couple of years on radio, I realized, radio wasn't enough. And radio is a kind of business that takes you into other things. When I was on radio, I think after about a couple of years, I discovered MCing.
Yes.
My mother actually started me off on MCing. So she took me, I went with her to an event with her friends, and they had an auction, and there was no one to do the auction. And my mother,
shout out to Mama Schullzz,
volunteered my services, even though I'd never done it before. And when I finished, I was like, oh boy, now, wow. It came so effortlessly. In fact, when I'm talking now, she tells me I should go and bring her royalty because she's the one that set me up. So then I discovered MCing, and that took on a life of its own. But I've always done music for people in England. People are having parties.
Free of charge?
Yeah, they would say, shall I bring your laptop, bring your music, and take I used to have loads of CDs.
Yeah.
I'll take my CDs and just... It was just, for me, it was just a hobby. I never thought of making money. So, but after being on radio a bit, you start to pay attention.
Yes.
And people will naturally think, because you're a radio presenter, that you're naturally a DJ, but it's not. They're two different
things. It doesn't always work like that.
The kind of music you play on radio is set, you play from top to bottom. But eventually they started calling me, and I thought, okay.
I think we're onto something.
So I would go. I started slow, but eventually I knew that, okay, I may not have the skill, but I had the knowledge, and I definitely had the music. I mean, I have over I mean, last time I looked at my laptop, about 46,000 songs.
Wow.
And that's ranging from Fuji to Juju to country music to jazz to name it, hip hop, music from the 60s, 50s. Because in my house, there was a lot of music.
Music, yeah.
My mom and dad were music buffs, so there was always music in my house. So I think at some point I knew that, yeah. But then I realized, oh, there's money here. So it made radio viable for me because I had other things to do.
Right.
And then I segued into things like hanging with Schullzz.
Yes.
I hosted quite a lot of gigs, Lagos Jazz Festival. I used to do a lot of Diamond Bank at the time, the consumer department, their end of year party. I did quite a lot. I hosted Brandy and UB40.
Yes, I remember that.
So things just started to naturally
branch out.
Just like, I was like, okay, I'm living La Vida Loca at the time, I thought. So I knew at that point that, this is a path that I have to follow.
I mean, it's so amazing to me where on one hand, you never thought you could do all of this. And just you going into radio as sort of, introduce you to so many expressions of just that one thing, which is I love music and this is what I wanted to do. Was there any point where you wanted to throw in the towel and said, nah, this isn't working, let me go back to any of my past any of things I was doing in the past? Yeah.
No, once I found radio, I knew that I had come. This was home.
This was home, yes.
For the music, this was home. For the talk, the MCing beat, I found it was home. But the actual talking on radio took a bit longer because, radio is real time. There's no time to correct your mistakes, to dot your I's and cross your T's. And if you make a mistake or you pronounce, everybody can hear you. I was thinking, they will be abusing me. They will say I said this. And I never was quite sure of what I could get away with saying on radio. So it took me a while to latch onto the talking.
Yeah. But, it seems to me like a lot of your expressions that you do now is people that literally had to drag you into it. You talked about radio, the gentleman you spoke with, the MCing, Mom C, the hanging with Schullzz. How did that come about?
So hanging with Schullzz started, I think, when I got my own show, my solo show.
Yeah. Which was Schullzz on Saturday.
Schullzz on Saturday. Yeah. Before that, I'd hosted with Tintin and Sly, late Sly. Then I'd hosted with Ifeanyi.
Yes.
Then I'd hosted with Buki.
Yes.
So I'd been around the block a bit, and then I got my own show, which was Schullzz on Saturday, and that's what let me know that, hey girl,
I think you can do this.
Yeah. So I realized that I'm quite funny. I'm a very funny person.
Yes, you are actually.
I didn't know I was funny until people started telling me, Ashola, you're funny. I'm like, okay, I'm funny. I can talk. I have music. That's an amazing combination. But guess what?
What?
It didn't come to me. Somebody approached me again.
Exactly.
Somebody approached me. They came up to me and said, this was Soul Lounge, and said, would you like to come and do a show for women, once a week? I'm thinking to myself, women, I'm not a woman. I'm a bit of a tomboy. I like to be around the lads. I'm comfy. So I was thinking, how will I relate to these human beings? Give me the guys. I know what to do with them. So he said, ladies, I'm thinking, they're not going to spend money. And I knew I was going to make money off what they were spending. I was like, no, these women, they'll be buying Fanta and Coke. So I just invited everybody. I think after the first one or two shows, and that's how
Hanging with Schullzz started.
Hanging with Schullzz, So you're right. Somebody has always had to say, oh yeah, come and go and do this thing, because I'm never quite, so I'm not really, now I'm business minded. Back then it was just, I enjoy doing this. Oh, I love doing this. I love what I do. I wasn't thinking of the money side of it.
So I was going to say, is it safe to say that, for also that person listening, when sometimes it takes other people recognizing
To see
talents
something
and to
in
see
you.
something in you that you won't ordinarily see
Bam.
for yourself. So what should that person's mindset be? Because sometimes when we fail to see things that we feel we are good at and other people see it, self-doubt comes in. We say, am I good enough? Like the questions you ask yourself, am I funny? Am I good enough? But what should the mindset be going into that kind of thing? If they tell you, should your mindset be, let's just do it? Or should it be, let me walk carefully?
Be cautious, but be open. So be cautious in the sense that people will come to you
with all sorts of things.
And you don't always know the motive behind it. So from that point of view, be cautious. Be open, because if I wasn't open, none of these things would I have been able to do.
Happened, yeah.
So most importantly, be open and leave yourself, available for change. Change is the only constant thing. And I think if I didn't embrace all the conversations, I wouldn't be the well-rounded Schullzz that I am right now. So be open and trust that there is a process, and that person who has approached you, whether you want to admit or not, has seen something in you, and that should be your pickup point.
Wow, amazing. You started radio in your 40s.
Yes.
You started in your 40s when the average age of the OAPs were in 20s, 30s. So was it safe to say you're one of the oldest radio hosts back in when you first started?
I think, there were radio, TV hosts.
Yes, but not radio.
But I don't think I remember anybody doing radio at the time. I started radio, I think, when I was 40. Or 44 or so. Yeah, something like that. Was it 44? No, 40.
This was 19. This was 2009.
2000. Yes. In fact, I tell a lie. I started radio 2010 because it's 14 years. We're in 2024.
Yes, 2010.
And at that time, I'm one of those people that age. I don't. The last thing I think about in my life ever have is age. I don't even think. I think if I thought about my age,
you would have
buckled.
Yeah.
But I never see age as a thing that you have to consider for anything. So I was quite, it's when I got on radio, people say, okay.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm slightly older than everybody else. I think Chico was in the same age bracket.
Yes.
Afrologic was older.
Yes.
But everybody else was younger.
Was younger, yeah.
So don't get hung up on silly things like age, and because you will just limit yourself. And I'm glad I didn't think about it.
Yeah, because my follow-up question was, there's somebody who wants to start a new career, wants to start a new line of business in their 40s, in their 50s, and they are like, I'm so late in the game. There are people who have started earlier in their 20s, and I'm just starting now. What was that thing that kept you going, that I might be older than these people, but you are one of the most recognizable voices on radio. You have numerous awards. You've won OAP of the year. Years. Back to back. What's that mindset you had that made you think, you know what, I might be older, I might have started radio a bit later, but I am going to kill it?
So first, know yourself. I knew that I was good at what I did. I was so good at it. So that gave me the confidence. And also that people are listening to me, and if they're listening to me, it means I'm doing something right.
Right, yeah.
And I'd get constant feedback. Oh, you said this yesterday. And because of my style of radio, I'm not one of those OAPs where, I'm British on Monday and American on Tuesday and Italian on Wednesday. I keep it real. My conversations are real. So when you meet Schullzz and you meet Shola Mogaji, it is one and the same person. And I think that worked in my favor, because I wasn't trying to remember what I said, who I said I was last week. Yeah. And that confidence, it's something you can take to the bank. So whatever age you are, forget the age. You can always flip the script. Always. In my 50s is when I started doing music curation.
Yeah.
where I took it on as in, okay, I can make money from this. Let me do it properly. It's something that you're already doing on radio, but you're not thinking I could do something else with it. Chance at any point in your life to start a new thing, go for it. I will tell you something though. I'm one of those people that my first reaction to any change, Bola, my peer, will tell you that, I don't want to do it. No, I don't think I can. But then the minute I get started, that's it.
You take
and
off.
I think that comes from anxiety, like, I'll go and do this thing and I'll go and mess up. Let me just not do it. But, so sometimes I may need a little bit of somebody saying, you can't do it now. What's the big deal? Then once I believe it, then I don't need you again.
Wow.
Something like
so
that.
you are you saying that the superstar Schullzz every now and then still has some bit of doubt, but you don't listen to the voice?
Yeah. I think no matter, I still get nerves.
You still get nerves, yeah.
When I'm hosting a big event, so I take my mic, I'm ready to go. When I get to the center or whatever, you will find for a few seconds I circle. I sort of like I'm walking around saying good afternoon, my name is Schullzz. I'm finding my center.
Wow.
But the minute I find that center, I'm good. That's it. I'm gone. But before I find that center, things can get shaky. It takes all of about 5 to 10 seconds, and then I lock into one person. And that's the person that I'll talk to.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I see that a lot with when you do host Hanging with Schullzz and all of that. I was speaking to Bola before the mics were on, and we're talking about how you are sort of that. You bridge the gap for, the young, the old. You are able to interact with the Gen Zs. You're able to interact with the old people. Is this something you had to learn, or something you've always had?
I think it's my personality. I'm younger at heart.
Let me say something. Schullzz is the funkiest 50-ish-year-old person I've seen in my life.
Really?
The first time I met Schullzz was talking to me like, I was in my 30s then. Schullzz was talking to me like we were. I'm like, do I have to? What do I do? I curtsy? Do I say ma?
Yeah.
Do I say? Just say no. Call me Schullzz. So shout out to you on that.
I think that's my personality. I'm laid back and easy. I'm troublesome, but I'm laid back and easy, and I relate to, my friends, my kids' friends. Yeah. They're like, man, they tell my kids, your mom is really cool, man. Your mom, I'm sure my kids are like, she cool. But that's my personality, which is a blend of my mom and my dad. My parents are quite simple, laid back, music buffs. There was a lot of love in my house growing up, and everyone in my house is into music. My sister is, so I call her my tag team, because when it comes to music, do you know that I go to supermarkets and they're playing a song and I will be calling her and put my phone there? Because I can't remember the name of the song.
Wow.
And she'll be like, that's this, that. And when it comes to dancing, my sister is a dancer like me. So if we ever go out and we're together, I'm sorry for that, but that's all I want to say. So I think that own it. That song by Stormzy says, own it. Yeah. Better just own it. Yeah. That kind of thing. Just own it.
So what's the future of Schullzz, the brand, post radio? Are you going back to radio?
I think someone said something to me yesterday, and someone said, so for the last 4 days, all I've heard is you were made for radio. I think I've realized that radio is my thing.
Wow.
And I may not go back to everyday radio. But I'm definitely going to be doing a show on radio, whether it's a music show or talk show. I already have a podcast already.
The Real You podcast.
The Real You podcast. Yeah. And that's like, I listened, so I recorded, they send it to me. I don't really listen. I don't go back and listen because I'm like, hey, what if I've said something? Do you understand? And I can't change it because it's already out there.
Yeah.
But I forced myself this week to listen. And when I finished, I was like, gang. I can't wait.
So bad.
Yeah. I sounded really like I knew what I was doing. So I must know what I was doing.
Yeah.
So my podcast, I plan to do that. I plan to have a TV show.
Oh, wow.
A talk show. It may be music based. You know there's going to be music
Yes,
in there.
Yes, of course.
Hanging with Schullzz is coming back. We're going to be doing it once a month. I know you're a big fan. And I
Yes,
have to
I am.
see, Outspoken is part of my Hanging with Schullzz family. In fact, we have a little group called Hanging with Schullzz.
Yes.
My biggest loyal supporters in my Schullzz journey are in that group with me. So I have to thank you for the love.
You're welcome.
For the last 14 years. It's not easy. Not be beans at all, man.
You're welcome.
So I'm looking forward to doing that, you know, the jokes, the games, the giveaways. But also I'm going to be touring Nigeria. So I want to go to Abuja. I want to go to Port Harcourt, you know, the entertainment hubs of the states. I want to go. And also travel a bit further, London.
You know, I was talking to you about Hanging with Schullzz in France.
Yes.
Hanging with Schullzz UK, doing all of that, taking it on the road.
And I want to go and curate music in different places. I want to team up with other women and just do and have conversations about the things that we talk about in our bedrooms and our living room. But we're not quite talking about that because we're afraid of labels and stigmas. So I may be doing something where there are like 3-4 of us and we're having a conversation and we have a guest that comes on every now and then. There's a lot of talk and music coming up. And of course, I'm going to be hosting my own one night, like an evening with maybe like a vector. An evening with. So those are all the things.
So much on the table.
Yeah, Bola has her work cut out for her this year. She doesn't know. Yeah, just be here snoozing.
So I mean, it's a good thing you talked about women. I know that you're very big on female empowerment. You're somewhat of a feminist. Shows you're a feminist. Me, I know, because you're very passionate about, you know, women's voices to be heard and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, so my question to you is twofold. One, are you open to mentoring young and upcoming, not just radio hosts, just women that want to toe the same line of entertainment? My second question is, how was it, you know, integrating into the entertainment space from the standpoint of where you were as a radio host, you know, in entertainment space? I see that, you know, a lot of the music execs, promoters, they're your friends.
Yeah.
Did you as a female, was it a hindrance, or did it help, or did it enhance? Because I know you have street cred in Nigerian entertainment industry. You talk about Schullzz, not an amen thing. Like, I see one of the Hanging with Schullzz, Olamide walked in, and you know, Olamide that literally begged. You understand. So, did you as a female in the entertainment? Because you find a lot of people say, "Oh, it was hard getting a foot in." How was it for you? How was it for you? Answer that question, then I will take it back.
I'm going to start with the mentorship. I already mentor quite a few people. So people reach out a lot to me on Instagram, or so I'm trying to do this, and I will literally give them my number and talk them through. Now that I'm curating music, a lot of artists are reaching out to me. "Oh, Mama, please, can I be on your playlist? You know, can you play my song when you're, you know, doing stuff?" And then I talk them through, and a lot of people use me as a soundboard for, they've done a song, they haven't done the master, they'll send it to me and say,
now what do you think? So you critique.
"Mama, please let me know this then." So I'm already doing actually quite a lot of that. A lot of people outside of the industry too, who think that, I mean, "Mama, you're 47. Yeah, but sorry.
You're 57.
Now you're 47. I'm 57.
57,
I'm 58 this year. And people will say, "Mama, now wow, you're still like no sign of slowing down." How do I get that energy? How do I get the passion? And What are the things to look out for? So you find that if you go into my DM, I'm having quite a lot of conversations with, don't get hung up on the money. Don't get hung up on the fame. A lot of them come into the industry thinking, Mama blow any second. No, that should be the last thing on your mind. First of all, make sure you own your space in the industry, because when you do, you won't have to go to them. They will come to you. That's what I found out. And I also have a lot of people who call me and say, oh, please come and talk, come and tell us about what it's like being your age in this entertainment industry, how you've kept your name off the blogs, no one said anything about you, how do you manage to? And that has only happened because I keep myself very authentic. I'm not trying to mix personalities. I know who I am. But it's difficult to, know who you are and stick to who you are.
Yeah.
And those who are really close to me know that I'm a very cautious person when I'm not. So when I'm not sure, I don't move. Bola can come now and say, we need to be doing video. Man, I'm thinking, this is a video. I'll go away, think about it. She'll probably say 2-3 times, my friend, Bo, Kate, it could be anybody. Even my sister, I'll be like, because it sounds like work to me.
Yeah.
But the minute I let go of that, my first thing to say is no. I find I'm good.
Yes.
I'll just wake up one day and say, okay,
let's do
this is what we're doing. They'll be like, from where to where? So that comes from knowing that, okay, I got this. You've thought about it. And failure is something you have to embrace. It's not, I curate music. Sometimes when I'm about to play the next song, I'll be like, hey, should I play this one? Or should I play that one? But if you go with your gut, there's something we overlook with that thing that we call that intuition, your gut, is that it's always right. Whenever I second guess myself, I get it wrong. Where I have looked at my life up, and whenever I second guess, or I say, no, let me play this other song. When that song starts playing, I'm like, no, it didn't enter. I should have played that one. And if you're around me, I'll probably be like, oh, I want to play. And when I find myself doing that, when I get home, I review the night and I'm like, what's all that nonsense we're doing? Because you have to be able to talk to yourself too. The other thing is, was it difficult for me to embrace the industry or penetrate the industry?
Yes.
I think that because I started radio as an older person, it was easy.
Easier.
I was confident. I was calm. I wasn't about the fame. I was about not making a complete fool of myself on radio. So I was guided by that. I have a lot of close friends from the industry. Vector is one of my main people. Olamide is my son. Emma. I have a lot of people that I can go to and say, look, listen, Ill Bliss, my dog, any day that I can go to and say, look, listen, I want to do this. Come and do this with me. And they're up for it. And there are even people that I'm not even aware that they know that I exist. I went for an event, I think at, I can't remember, somewhere in Ikoyi. And this guy that sang, Healthy Skills.
Yeah.
He was like, Mama, I'm a fan. I'm thinking, which fan? Do you even know the songs that I play? Do you even listen, And I found, and he's a young boy that I admire and I respect because, of his journey, how he comports himself is there's something about him, and I've always felt so. When he said that, I was like, now, wow, it's amazing how you have your radar on someone and you find out that you're already on that person's radar
as well.
And sometimes I find myself, I'm out, and people will say, like today, at the salon, I was walking out and someone just said, hey, Schullzz, and walked past me. So I always go back and say, sorry, hi, what's your name? They'll be like, oh, I know you. Oh, I follow you on Instagram. I listen to you on radio. Oh, thanks for coming on radio on Wednesday. I'm thinking, here I am maneuvering my life and living my life like nobody knows I exist or what I look like. But it's confidence that allows you get into the industry. So you pick your people. You must have your foot soldiers. You pick your people, and those people are the ones that you sort of like piggyback and swim with to get into the industry.
Right.
And your colleagues at work also help. I had Chico, I had Buki, people to go back and forth with. They had their own crew.
Yeah.
I had my own crew. So we kind of merge crews, and so everybody knows everybody. And you have to know how to conduct yourself in this industry, because if you don't, you will fall flat on your face.
Wow, amazing. I've always been excited about your journey. I've always been excited about how you keep redefining yourself from Schullzz the on-air personality to Schullzz the music curator to Schullzz the the host, to Schullzz the MC. To I mean, I know that the last conversation we had before now, you were talking about scoring music for film.
Yes, in fact, I just got one to do a soundtrack, to
Wow.
just give them songs to put in a soundtrack to the movie. So they're going to send me the script. I'm going to read it and try and think of, when you're watching a movie and you hear gun 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 gun, I have to think of the song that
To know when to put it and all that.
Yeah, so it's a lot of hard
Wow.
work. I curate a lot for like lounges and whatever, and sometimes they'll give me a theme and I'm thinking, what am I supposed to do with this now? But then you have
And it's
to
that
go,
time you now
man,
plug in.
I don't want to go and show myself up, so I will really focus on, and let me make sure I get this done, because you can't take it back. So it's been quite interesting leaving radio.
Do you think there's now an expectation from you as Schullzz, people, you've gotten to that point where your brand is now to a point where people expect a certain kind of what's the je ne sais quoi now, certain kind of thing in terms of, for instance, now you said you are creating music for lounges, like you have residency at Vibe.
Yes.
I just plugged them, so they should send me my check.
Yes, I'll make sure. I'll make sure he sends you your check.
So those kind of things, like, do people say, "Oh, Schullzz, I expect better"? Does that give you a certain?
When it comes to curating music, because people know you know.
No, yes, that's where I'm coming from. Expect. So, does that put you under pressure?
It does a bit, and then it doesn't. So maybe when I start, before I get there, I'm thinking, okay, what direction do I want to go today? I'm careful. I don't want to play the same thing that I played last week. And if I'm playing around with the same playlist, I want to play around in the songs whereby you don't know it's the same thing.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. We don't just wake up and just
plug and
start
play
anything. People come in, and once in a while, when you play a song that's off, the way they look up is like, you see, even you said, yes, you get that, So the pressure is on, because you come in this high. They've listened to you years on radio, forgetting that how you jam on radio is not how you jam when you're, in a lounge playing. But what it does, it makes me do my homework more. Make sure that I am constantly raising the bar. And I will talk to my team a lot about, I'm listening for the wrong versions of the song. And as soon as I play something and it's funny, I'll be like, man, can you write this song down? We need to buy another one, that kind of thing. So it's constantly staying in there and not taking it for granted that, everybody knows you're good. And then one day you just go and mess up. Hey.
I mean, thank you, Schullzz, for showing me exactly, especially that just by the love for music, you can redefine yourself into so many things. I was speaking to Bola. I said, she was asking why I started this podcast. I said, I love talking. And from, having a career in fashion to having a podcast where I speak to people on their journeys, is all about starting. Once you start, you find out that, there are many branches, there are many expressions to just that one thing. Just that one thing.
In fact, when I think of you and your journey, I always tell people, I just recommended you to my brother yesterday. I was like, I was wearing that boo-boo you made with the ashoke.
Yes.
You were one of the first people to start doing that. In fact, you were the first person to do it. Anyway, I don't wear it out again. I've worn it.
Thank you, Schullzz.
But every time I wear it, and people are like, oh, I like that. Oh, my guy, outspoken, whatever. And it's the choice of colors, but also the way you taper at the end of it.
The end, yes.
Yes, and I like my dresses short. Now, 'cause I'm short. I'm not about to be wearing one maxi, whatever. It's that you've gone into, you now have a women's stuff, you have accessories, you have shoes, and now you have this podcast. You have to keep reinventing.
You
have to keep reinventing. And you will find that, because what will happen ultimately is that there will be an outspoken podcast that will happen right there in your shop. Where people come in, you're doing like a mini sort of like tag team, you're talking to them.
Yes, we're also working on that.
Yes, and it will form content for you. And
Yeah.
content is money these
it
days.
is,
So I hope you plug into it.
We'll definitely do.
I'm sure you'll be okay.
We'll definitely
I'm
do.
a fan. You know that already.
Thank you. I mean, for showing us that age is nothing but a number.
Age
You
is
might have
nothing.
started late. But it doesn't mean that you are late in the game. There are constantly new entrants coming in on a regular. You just have to find your foot, find your voice, and make sure that your voice is heard. So thank you so much, Schullzz, for
You are welcome. For you, I have plenty of time.
Thank you so much for being on the pod. Follow Schullzz at Schullzz66.
I thought you were going to get it wrong. I was just waiting.
Me, how? SCHWUZZ. She's a double digit lady.
Let me help
Double
you.
six, I
It's
said.
SCHULLZZ
Double six. They call me the double digit lady.
There you go. You can finish that for me. You can finish that for
Yes,
me.
and that was it. Follow us on the pod on Instagram at coffeeandbeans.pod. We're on Twitter at coffeebeanspod. Send us a mail. I mean, give a shout out to Schullzz. I mean, if you had questions that you want me to forward to Schullzz, absolutely. Fan mail at coffeeandbeanspod.com. Till the next time you hear from me, drink coffee and stay inspired.
I love it.
Bye.
Mm-hmm.